Yep.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Annabelle Sedano. A big announcement from federal authorities today about the Rolling 60s neighborhood Crips gang in South LA. Detectives have arrested multiple people, but they're still looking for others. NBC4's Alex Rosier joins us live from downtown LA with the latest. Alex.
Annabelle, yes, the feds have arrested a number of people, accused Rolling 60s gang members who they say are connected to this crime ring.
Good looking, Minnesota.
They
I
talked
appreciate you, big bro.
About one man who they say is a longtime leader of the Rolling 60s gang, a man they are still looking for right now, Eugene Henley Jr. Federal prosecutors say Eugene Henley Jr. is a longtime leader of the Rolling 60s Crips gang, but in recent years, he's worked in entertainment and run a youth charity that the acting U.S. attorney says was the front for his criminal enterprise.
He has maintained the image of an entertainment industry entrepreneur running a music label, and of somebody who gives back to the community here in Los Angeles. The facts alleged in the complaint paint a very different picture. It is one of a murderer, a thief, a liar.
Henley Jr. is now a fugitive. The feds say he committed a series of racketeering crimes, including extortion, human trafficking, fraud, and the 2021 murder of an aspiring rapper.
Mr. Henley engaged in a murder. A musician signed to his label in 2021 and dumped the victim's body in Las Vegas off of the I-15 freeway.
And investigators say he committed crimes while running his charity Developing Options. The nonprofit, seen here on its website, works with groups like the Crenshaw Rams youth football team and brands itself as a group that gives underprivileged kids options beyond gang violence. And now he's accused of taking money meant for that group.
Mr. Henley is accused of embezzling donations made by celebrities, professional athletes, and
the criminal complaint says since about 2015, Developing Options has received millions of dollars from the city of LA's GRID program. From that, the court documents say Henley has drawn hundreds of thousands of dollars for his salary.
That on the one hand, he's, Mr. Charity, and on the other hand, he's engaging in all this criminal conduct.
Today, the FBI also arrested several other accused Rolling 60s gang members they say are tied to this crime ring.
4 of the 19 defendants were already in custody, and 10 defendants were taken into custody in the last 24 hours. During this investigation, we recovered 49 weapons, 5 pounds of methamphetamines, 10,000 fentanyl pills, and large amounts of cash.
The FBI said the Rolling 60s gang is among the largest in the country. And now they are searching for who they say is one of the gang's longtime leaders, Eugene Henley Jr.
Here we go, right here. So in the state of California, y'all know that the red and blue come from right here, right? And Big U is one of the most known out of that community. You know what I mean? And for this type of story to break over the weekend or Friday or Thursday, whatever the day it was. Let me pull my camera on, my bad. This is some big news right here. And another thing is also what we're doing right now, even though we live streaming, this is a podcast, right? And so with the day of the podcast and 2 other people that's mentioned in this indictment about the podcast industry, we're going to get into that as we talk. But what are your thoughts on this shit, big bro?
It's kind of crazy how first of all, the alleged murder goes back to what, 21?
I think so.
And they got some stuff that goes way past before 21 with some of the embezzling and some of the extortion and things of that nature that he's being alleged of being attached to, right? And same thing with a bunch of the Briccs of the world and the Luce cannons. You know what I mean? A lot of them, these guys getting on and saying shit is being used in a lot of that's in that paperwork. A lot of the Vlad TV interviews. You know what I mean?
Facts.
And not to mention, just they've been had him tapped since I think 2022. So and then they start tapping everyone around them. So this is damn near a RICO. They just haven't labeled it a RICO, but they gathered up all this evidence because see, when the feds move in, they're not going to move in unless they 99% true, or not true, got a case here. Because what's their hit rate? You know what I mean? 99% or whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's usually because a lot of times people take pleas because they're going to hit you off with so much damning evidence. You know what I mean?
Right.
And like, I think the guy, the alleged shooter, was the driver that was with Big U. And that dude's getting the ET finger too. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
yeah, it's definitely multiple layers of this story, especially with the biggest name in Big U and what he's alleged of. You know what I mean? The embezzlement of when the city is giving out money and putting it to, or supposedly it's supposed to be going to programs and stuff like that, and it's not getting used to what it's for. They not playing off that 100%, you know what I mean? Because that's money allocated from taxpayers, from grants that's going into supposedly funneled through a criminal investigation. So off top, the racketeering and all that, the money they not playing, right? But now here it comes. Also, he's being alleged of having something to do with his son's best friend that happened to play on the same football team as his son, live in Big U's house with his son, and ends up being on his record label. And so-called or allegedly, bruh made a diss song, and this is why bruh is no longer with us. First off, rest in peace to him and condolences to his family. You know what I mean? 100%. You know what I mean? And that's what's so crazy. You got the money aspect that's tied to the football program and all that. And this young brother has came up in this football program under bruh's watch, and then happens to maybe not be here because of him. You know what I mean? So you got that aspect. And then, like also I said in the beginning about the podcast shit, you said Luce Cannon and Bricc, baby. The way that we came to know them is through the podcast industry, right? Mm-hmm. And them two are on podcasts talking about, like you just said, on Vlad, on No Jumper. And the shit that they're talking about is mentioned in the motherfucking indictment. Now, Bricc baby isn't tied into what
a separate case.
My bad.
No, it's all good. Yeah, Bricc got a separate case. He got raided a couple years back. I think it was like 2 years ago. He got raided, and then they found a cater at his crib, or at least they found some kind of expended shells or something. I forget what, but he ain't never been charged with nothing. So there's been all, there's that. So you got guys like Wack running out there saying like, Bricc could be like an informant or something. He's all alleged, right? But then also Bricc, he was kind of wording everyone up before this shit hit. Same thing with Wack, you know what I mean? And apparently Wack, because of the victim's mother and sister, have been in contact with him, so he's actually known about how the feds have been planning this shit as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but see, my thing is though, right, with the podcast situation with Bricc and Luce being tied into this shit, right, and them openly talking about certain shit that happened, also being caught on phones talking about it, right? You know what I mean? The shit that they're alleged of why they're arrested, right? And my thing is like, right, did Adam know, or did Bricc let Adam know what was going on around the situation when he got caught up? You know what I mean? Because all this is alleged that what Bricc and Luce was doing is before we got introduced to him through the podcast game, right? This is all before that. You know what I mean? So with Adam, allowing them to come on the podcast and talk about certain shit, you know what I mean? Did bruh know and allow them to go ahead and do that? Or if he didn't know, you know what I mean, that they were wrapped up or this was coming, you know what I mean? It kind of, I ain't gonna say it gives them a pass, but so many times, you know what I mean, you talk about certain shit, and he's seeing that the views is going up and this is what the people want to see, but yet them motherfuckers was talking about shit that's in the indictment. Now, even though the feds got, certain shit tapped, but yet it furthered their case by them coming on there and talking about
they were confirming. The feds already had wind of a lot of the shit. Then there's when there's specifics being confirmed or corroborated by like Luce, like when Luce is like, this is how stupid Luce is, man. Because like with the pistol whipping shit,
top of the money,
he pistol whipped somebody outside of No Jumper,
Right.
And then they and it's all on camera and whatnot. And then like, of course, the footage. I don't know if the footage came out or not. My bad, garbage truck. 1 second.
Oh, hey, Monday. Hey, what you say last Monday? The metaphor for taking out the trash is starting the week over again.
My bad. Hold on.
No, don't worry, big bro. It's like how you said last Monday. It's like the metaphor.
They're shaking the shit out of that thing. Whatever it is in that can wouldn't come out. They're still trying. Oh, there they got it. There they go. Yo,
oh,
that was the loudest garbage truck ever.
Hey, that's like you said, like last Monday's show. The metaphor for Monday is just like taking out the trash each Monday. Let's go ahead and start the week new.
And see, and sometimes when it comes to people that you're working with, you might got to take them out like the trash, bro. In this case, like Luce Cannon, bro. He got to look like, I guess there's many names to his name because he was like a hitter, apparently. Like he got some loose screws. He's a loose cannon. But he's also got loose lips, bro, because he get on there, but pause, first of all. But he get on there talking like when he was like, you know, we do a job, you know, we you know what I mean? And then, you know, we get back to, you know, after getting it done, you know, and then these motherfuckers pull up to the spot. And then it's like, okay, we got to give them like 40,000 back. It's like, why the fuck are you telling? You're a gangster ass motherfucker. Why are you on this shit, telling this shit?
No, them is facts, bro.
Like, and it for Luce is the person who like supposedly doesn't smoke or drink, but like, yo, he doesn't seem like he's smart, man. It seemed like he's a crash out that everyone keeps on board to be like, all right, I know who will crash out for me. You know what I mean?
Right.
And like, yo, that shit is crazy because, and then now, like, if they stick to the code, they ain't gonna say nothing. They're just gonna go down along with fucking Big U connected to his whole. They're gonna turn this shit into a RICO. Watch.
Well, with them all being from the same community, you know what I mean?
The same set, allegedly.
Yeah, it might have, you know what I mean, something like
dead homies, guys.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But like back to the podcast shit, right? So on the No Jumper, the live last week, when Luce and
Bricc was on there, yeah.
My mama, and then the day after is when that shit happened, right?
I think they swooped them up that evening, right?
I think so. It might have been.
Might have been right after that, shortly after that show. Because for one, you had Bricc on there, and Bricc and Luce, they don't fuck with each other like that. And Luce is always threatening this motherfucker. So when you see Bricc on there, he like leans over in one of the footage, you see him, he has the banger on him. You know what I mean?
Right. But
pistol sticking out of his
but see, like a week or two ago, right? This is how when they got the video of Luce's wife filming when they raided or did something next door to them, right?
Yeah.
And so when that happened, Luce gets mad at Wack for, you know, talking about the situation, right? So on that show that we talking about when Luce and Bricc is on there, right? They already been in contact, Luce and Bricc. So they already, you know what I mean, been kind of cool for the last couple of weeks. But at the same time, Luce and Wack ain't been getting along, right? So Wack is on No Jumper with Vlad, Trap Lord Ross and Academics, letting you know that them two, Luce and Bricc, already knew shit was going on. You know what I mean? And if you look at the last live, Bricc is looking shook. Luce is looking shook 100%. And what it say? Damn it. Give me 2 seconds.
They knew it was coming, bro.
So look, during that last live, they said, give me 2 seconds on the last live. Brace has to. Okay, on the last live, it says Bricc asked Luce, have the feds picked you up? And Luce says, you already know the answer to that, right? Because Bricc, like you said, Bricc got caught with the AK 2 years ago and never did no time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, like I said, Luce says you know the answer to that. And then he says, after after they came and got you, Luce said, after they came and got Bricc, then they came and got Big U. Then they came and got me. Then he says, Luce tries to say to Bricc, we in on the same shit. So what he means by that is allegedly in an indictment for Luce and Bricc, they were out there taking stuff by force. We ain't got to say the exact name, right? But they were taking stuff by force, being sent by Big U, right? So they're talking about this. They're talking about the indictment that night. So like you said, it might have happened right after that show or not too long after that. But in my opinion, the way that they body language and shit was during that show, them niggas knew the Phil Collins song, the Genesis song. I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Hold on. And it was another thing he said, then they go and talk about a play, right? So this is how they meet each other. So they never met each other before the podcast shit, right? So they're talking about it. Luce is talking about how they met each other, right? So I don't know if Luce was the one that went and took something from somebody, but they say that Bricc was the one that was trying to get to Luce to get whatever was taken back. But Big U sent Bricc to go holler at Luce because Bricc is the only one that maybe could have got shit back from Luce. Couldn't nobody else do it. But they're talking about that situation. Yeah. Motherfucking live. And that's part of the indictment.
Yeah. Part of the indictment is and I feel okay talking about certain things that are out there in the paperwork. Like they've extorted artists. You know what I mean? And one of those instances they were talking about it. Bricc Baby talking about how they had Meek and Ross hemmed up or something like that. I don't know if Meek and Ross, but it was definitely Meek.
Yeah, it was a couple of motherfuckers, man.
Yeah, and then like once when the feds start building their case, they started getting
top of the morning indeed.
What it do? I don't know if it was any notable artists, but they started having quote unquote artists, which were informants, pay Big U $1,000 at a time, $1,500 at a time, and the feds were providing this bread. So here he is accepting this bread now for extortion, and this is just furthering their case. You know what I mean? It's like when a motherfuckers will send the under and then he'll go buy to work. You know what I mean? They'll continue to send that under over and over again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they further their case.
Exactly. Next thing you know that you didn't sold $10,000 worth of woo wop, and then that qualifies to this amount of time. Oh man, we're moving in. You know what I mean? Like, so the feds ain't gonna move in unless they got it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Right. So they're kind of, there's other shit like they said. There's DNA under the victims.
Well, I think in the paperwork they say that it's either conclusive or it's a 50-50 that they that is his DNA.
They said the other guy, it's not his. The other alleged shooter.
Yeah, but also it says like the way.
But they said it's not. They said that they can't rule when it comes to Big U. They can't rule him out yet with these results because in the DNA, it's like it's not the best sample either. You know what I mean? But they're saying that is not. But it's not inconclusive. But you can't rule out Big U yet either. So I mean, listen, man, science might save him right there, bro. You get a good ass lawyer, you might be able to fight that part specifically. But they definitely got him for the racketeering and extorting. And there's the loose cannon thing. They had him shaking down or allegedly shaking down dispensaries and shit like that. So that's another charge. What is it called? Consumers or starts with a C. Either way, yeah. I was going through the little charges like, goddamn, they get. I mean, it's essentially he got out in 2004. Some of this shit goes back to like 2011. You know what I mean? Where like where it's some of his activities, and they could even be dating all the way back to the beginning of his charity now. You know what I mean? Like now all that shit's in question.
Yeah, all of that.
Because that's what they're gonna want to do. They're gonna want to see what money. Like okay, for example, there was dead to rights evidence on him where it's like he accepts a donation from an athlete, and it's like say it's like 24,000. He takes 10,000 or 14,000 of that. So more than half, and then it goes straight to his personal account. You know what I mean?
Right.
He was doing shit like that. So when they said like over the last couple of years, there's been hundreds of thousands of dollars, that might be just what they've discovered so far. You know what I mean? Like, and then you got guys like Bricc who just be on the perk 30s and off a double cup, and he's on live talking about, I made 700,000 in the streets last year, guys, on the dead homies. You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy shit to say. You know what I mean? Because now you're implicating yourself, especially when you're already involved in some of this big U stuff. And apparently, he was extorting Bricc Baby, like, or blackmailing him. That's what Luce Cannon.
Well, I mean, in gang culture, in mafia culture, the lower levels gotta pay, the top.
Yeah.
100%. You know what I mean?
Whatever. Keep up.
No, 100%. You know what I mean? And I ain't saying that I'm with that shit or I'm condoning to the shit, but I understand how shit shakes in the community 100%. But what's so fucked up is that just the big use part of the situation is about little brother that's no longer here with us. Again, may he rest in peace and condolences to his whole family 100%. You know what I mean? On that side of the situation, man, fuck the money, because the city is the city. You know what I mean? They do weird shit with their money anyways 100%. You know what I mean? So the money situation, just that, I understand that. You know what I mean? I feel Big U. If he felt like he can, slide some money, extra money into his shit, it is what it is. But I'm not condoning that or not neither, because he's taken away from the football program and his nonprofits and shit like that. But when they get to talking about Lil Bruh, you know what I mean? And you know what I mean? He might be connected to this over a fucking song. You know what I mean? And then you got Big U talking about how when Nip, and may Nip rest in peace too. Condolences to Nip fam, 100%. About how when Nip messed up, about how he had to go pull up on him and tell him about his DP that he's on video talking about 100%. You know what I mean? So, that type of program in the community, that's, that comes with that. But if that's what, Lil Bruh, the reason Lil Bruh got, ain't here with us, come on now, you know what I mean? Coming up in this program, coming up in his household, here it is now. He's 20-something years old, 19, 18 years old, whatever he is. And over a song, you know what I mean? Come on now, 100%. And then tie it back to the podcast situation, man, 100%. So I'm watching this shit when Vlad and Trap Lord and Academics is on stream, and they all talking about it, right? Vlad goes on and breaks down the situation with Bricc. So at first, when Bricc get on No Jumper, Bricc ain't going at Whack. But as of lately, it's been a fuck.
Hey, my bad to cut you off. This new wave, this next wave, the recycling just came through, right? And I saw one going across the street. This is the old school, the normal ones. Then there was an electric one that came through and took my side of the street shit.
Oh, that's clean.
An electric fucking recycling truck, bro.
That's clean, bro. Hey, I wonder where the motherfuckers is.
And then there was another one, a gas-powered one going across the street from it. I was just looking at him like, yeah, look at you.
Hey, remember we was just talking about a big electrical trucks.
That's why I had to stop. I was like, oh shit, this is crazy. I've never seen one.
But
that motherfucker was quiet as a motherfucker, except for all the fucking normal shit. But I was like, oh shit, that bitch is electric.
Right. Oh my mama. But Whack was saying that as of recently, it's been a fuck Whack from Bricc, and it wasn't like that. And Whack says that Big U has a video of a Bricc taking something from somebody by force, and he was like, "Look, if you don't, say fuck Whack and whooping, I'm gonna drop the video." That's what Whack was saying on the show last night or yesterday. That shit was on yesterday, bro. 100%. So it gets deeper, bro. 100%. And this only the beginning of it. My thing is like I said, if you want to separate the Big U side of it and the Bricc and Luce, my thing is like, right, little brother that's no longer with us on the Big U side, but on the Luce and Bricc side is that they're involved in the podcast shit, and this is one of the first type shits that where they using the whole podcast and bringing these niggas down, bro.
Well, think about, you remember AR Ab,
right,
out of Philly,
right?
So AR Ab did a Vlad interview, and there was in the Jacks, you know what I'm saying? Or and then he would have. Well, it wasn't a Vlad interview, but they referenced this on Vlad, right? So, you know, because Vlad be pulling up clips and shit. But in this clip, he's like, yeah, he's like skinny over there. Yeah, I seen him kill bro. You know what I'm saying? He smoked him, bro. In front of me, I seen it. And then bro was like, yup. You know what I mean? And they use this shit in the thing. You know what I mean? Like, they're gonna find shit. That's the AR Ab one's kind of where that kind of put legs on the whole Vlad's the feds woo-wop, you know what I mean? But you know what I mean? They had, you know, motherfuckers go on there and they just, same thing with the Keefy D. All Vlad was doing was referencing everything he said in the book.
Right.
And the dude just corroborated and everything. You know
right.
what I mean?
See, them is individuals. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? AR Ab, I think you know, he was the head guy, and he, you know, I don't know if they got his whole.
Yeah, they got him in a bunch of his crew.
Oh, okay, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
They were like also like they got him for a bunch of unalives and manufacturing narcotics.
Yeah. Oh my.
Like, look at it, they got Big U with so many woo-wops. One of these things is gonna stick, whether it's the laundering and embezzling money through his charities.
That's already done. They got the paperwork on that. That's done in my opinion.
That's done. Like that's gonna stick. The work, all the crystal meth and all that shit that they found. That might be connected more to somebody that he's just getting money up off of. You know what I mean?
That might be the other people that's involved in it.
Exactly. You know? Then there's even some chick involved. She's not a member, but like supposedly she might be like a madame, you know what I mean? And she got women's, you know what I mean? And she traveling them back and forth. Boom.
Yeah, I seen that. Yep.
Connected to the human trafficking now. You know what I mean? You know
what
I'm saying? And that's what's crazy. That's shout out to Sugar Free. That's why he said, that's why I stopped pimping. When they put that human trafficking on it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Oh my mom.
Like, yeah. Because, you know what I'm saying, that could have been just some old escort service, but now you go state to state. That's, you know what I mean? Oh, and then the inter-commerce shit, or whatever it was, something commerce with the fucking with businesses, that's going to stick. You know what I mean? And then unless like you got someone like, you know, like what they say with you is that he's throwing hella fools under the bus this whole time. Like, because they say that he's working with the people. You know what I mean?
So, let's get caught up in the comments. King D said that's some crazy shit. Bricc and snitch, loose cannon talk. They a little too much stupid because the feds been watching and listening. Them facts. I got Big U son on my dynasty. Yep, 100%.
Yeah, I was kind of mad when you drafted him. I ain't gonna lie. I was like, God,
free Big U, top of the morning, Peacock. Luce was trying to say Big U is the one that got Nipsey Hussle killed. I don't believe that. Yeah, and that was on the podcast. So when I get on my little closing shit, that's what I'm going to talk about is the podcast element of this shit. We got Marty in the building. Top of the morning, Marty.
What's up, Marty?
Hey, yo, Bogey, my brother Nelly said y'all got something cooking. I talked to him yesterday.
Yeah, we do. Actually, we're planning on making him a reoccurring guest on this show, on the OJ. You know what I mean?
Oh, now?
Yeah, because, you know what I mean? Shout out to our man Nelly, you know what I mean? Canada stand up, you know what I'm saying? He definitely is an American gem as well. You know what I mean?
Oh,
He's part of an American classic, bro, a cult classic, a hood classic even. You know what I mean? The motherfucker Paid in Full, bro. That's one of my favorite movies ever. But yeah, shout out to Canada Marty, man. Long time. You know what I mean? I gotta get your line from Nelly. Because, you know what I'm saying, we've been firing up a bunch of dynasties. I know you'll get down with at least one of them. You know what I mean?
Get it.
Yeah.
Oh, my mama.
But yes, going back to this thing too, real quick, when you know, going to the podcast thing specifically, like when all this shit hit the fan, and then of course now they're gonna get right to it. You know what I mean? Like Adam and all them. And what's kind of disgusting is like that one of the first pods you got Adam and Lush and like Remo and like, you know, just all of Flacco and just all these guys are just not of the culture when it comes to that street shit. And then here's Adam. He's like, yeah, isn't it great? You know, like when all this stuff happens to gangsters, you know, like you're like, oh, good thing I'm not part of that shit. Like all of a sudden you separate yourself. And he's like, oh, if the feds want anything for me, I got it. I'll give them all the footage, everything. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and this is a motherfucker who's eating off you. And it's kind of sad because with Luce and all them, and it's the power of the clout too. It got some on there. They start popping. Like, remember, he even said in that clip, and you know which clip I'm talking about, JD, where he's like, yeah, you know, we were pumping Bricc, baby, building him up for 2 years. And you know what I mean? He's just kind of writing him up like he died even. You know what I mean?
Right. And
he's like, yeah, but by the way, free Bricc.
And, that was his first words about the situation. On camera, that was because he had walked into the live, and then when Remo asked him about it, his first thing was that for the last 2 years, bro, and that's what's so fucked up about it, you know what I mean? And so my thing is, right,
he looks at everyone like they're commodities.
100%, bro. You know what I mean? And
I don't give a fuck what industry you're in. Like that's just always gonna be, you know, that's what starts revolutions. You know what I mean? When you start looking at people like they're not people, like they're just like items and shit. You know what I mean? Commodities and shit.
100%, and that's where I'm gonna lead. And with this, closing out on this topic is that like going further into specifically that platform. Now that Bricc is he's innocent and proven till guilty. Everybody on that motherfucking indictment is innocent until proven guilty. So we ain't gonna write them off. But if they happen to sit down for a little bit of time, and the way that North Jumper is gonna go, because this shit right here with Bricc, with Luce, with Wack, and all extra shit, like you talked about it with the pistol whipping situation. You know what I mean? The smear campaign, the campaign of Big U when we first got introduced to Luce, and what Luce was jumping out the window with. Somebody said it in the comments about Nip. You know what I mean? Whatever. You know what I mean? And that was fueling, on top of the other stuff that goes into in the community, what fuels No Jumper. So now, how is this going to be? How is it going to move forward with the guests that come on there, with the motherfucking the host that he starts to bring in there? You know what I mean?
I mean, bro, they're all look at all the foods are gone too, like all like Fig Nudity and them. They got out in time, right? Because they from the street culture, you know what I mean. Then you have Sharp, who's kind of like he's like Sharp's different, but anyways, then there's who else is gone? I mean, shit, 4 extras locked. What's his name? Crip Mac is locked. You feel me? Like,
it's like, you know,
let's just find the next one too.
But not only the host that's there, but the guest as well. So the host and the guest that's from the community, now that they seen how when Bricc and Luce is on camera talking about whatever they did in their past life, and then for the feds to openly say that we got our information from this, you know what I mean? It's too many instances of this.
And then you got the 22 straight up like, listen, if the feds ask me, I'll give them everything. You know what I mean?
There it is there. So
I'll give them all the footage.
Oh, my mama. You know what I mean? It's fucked up to see how this shit has, been brought about. But is it going to be, going further in this podcast industry? The rallies that have come from the community, are they going to be a little bit more, you know what I mean? Look, man, 100%. Like, next question. Or like Pee Wee Longway when he was like, you just certain instances where motherfuckers.
Yeah, like even when he was asked, he goes, no. He's like, you've been arrested for there's paperwork, and he's like, no, never happened. Like he was just even denying things that were already and had happened. He's like, nah.
Right.
Like that. Shout out to Pee Wee Longway, but we also found out later on down the road, Pee Wee Longway, and what's crazy is that's Bricc Baby's brother-in-law, right? You know what I mean? So he was tied in with them too, and you know what's kind of crazy about that? They got hit with some boo-wop too, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure. He was,
but because throwing that on, but he be throwing that on Bricc Baby. That Bricc Baby could be working with the
Nah, so what it was is Wax said he found out what Bricc is tied to. So it's not the Dirk shit. It's not the Pee Wee Longway shit. He just said it last night in the live.
It's
Nah,
that good.
nope. So that's what they came to.
Oh,
You know,
it's him being extorted by.
So what Wack said, and what Wack is alleging, and he said he got the paperwork that ties him to this shit with what's the motherfucking battle rapper name from New Jersey, but he's a rolling 60 Crip.
Arsenal?
Nope. He's
No.
oh man.
He's a Crip.
But that's what allegedly Wack, and you know, because Wack be going to go get the paperwork and stuff like that. He said that fucking Bricc is tied to the case in New Jersey, the federal indictment that and he's a rolling 60.
Oh no, with Fetty Wapin? Oh no, Fetty Wapin.
No, from New Jersey. From New Jersey on my mama. I forgot Brad's name. Oh, he's a battle rapper on everything. We got Crooked Commission to build in top of the
I'm looks like I'm gonna show up tonight with our man, the ear to the streets.